If you've ever struggled to roast chestnuts perfectly or peel them without frustration, you are in the right place. In this video, I will show you exactly how to roast chestnuts in the oven and over an open fire and make peeling them a breeze. Together, we will cover the equipment you will need, the best types of chestnuts to buy for easy peeling, and some additional tips to get it right every time. Whether you're snacking on them by the fire or using them in your holiday recipes, I think roasted chestnuts are a must-have treat during the fall and winter months. And at the end of this video, my promise to you is that you will know everything you need to know about roasting chestnuts like a pro. When it comes to buying chestnuts, there are two key things to look for. They should taste great, so freshness is a must, and they need to be easy to peel. In the fall and winter months, fresh chestnuts are usually available at local grocery stores or farmers markets. In the US, you will typically find American chestnuts, Chinese chestnuts, or European chestnuts, usually imported from Italy. Here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live, starting around mid to late September, large grocery stores like Whole Foods and Publix typically carry Italian or Chinese chestnuts. During my recipe testing, I purchased both varieties and tried the recipe I'm about to share with you using both types. In the end, I found that Italian chestnuts not only had better flavor, but were also much easier to peel. In contrast, the Chinese variety was more challenging as their shells didn't always open up properly. So my recommendation, especially if you're new to roasting chestnuts, is to get the Italian variety if it is possible. As it is with any one ingredient recipe, the quality of the ingredient determines the fate of the end product. Choosing the right chestnuts will make all the difference for the best flavor and even roasting. When buying chestnuts for roasting, there are two things I recommend. First, if possible, handpick your chestnuts. This way you can choose ones that are similar in size, which is essential when it comes to even roasting. Because if they're not similar in size, the smaller chestnuts can overcook while the larger ones might not cook all the way through. Next, look for chestnuts that are plump, smooth, and shiny. Avoid any with blemishes, mold, or dry-looking skin. If you can, feel it in between your fingers to make sure that the skin is not dry and it feels full and heavy for its size. Now, this part takes a little advanced planning, but trust me, it's worth it for perfectly roasted chestnuts. We'll start by placing the chestnuts in a colander and rinsing them under cold tap water to remove any dirt or debris. Then we'll transfer them onto a clean kitchen towel and dry them as much as possible. Next, we'll score the chestnuts. Now, when it comes to scoring, it is imperative that you use the right equipment because otherwise you can potentially hurt yourself. To do this, we will need a sturdy cutting board and a sharp knife. The cutting board is pretty straightforward, but when it comes to the knife, you have a few options. If all you have is a chef's knife, it would definitely work, but ideally, you want to use a sharp paring knife, or if you're serious about roasting chestnuts, I highly recommend investing in one of these chestnut knives because they're designed specifically for this job and makes scoring much safer and easier. Next, I'll show you how to score them using both types of knives. But before then, if they're in the fridge, it is best to take them out about an hour or so as they're easier to score when they're at room temperature. When using a paring knife, place the flat side of the chestnut down on a cutting board with the rounded side, also known as the belly side, facing up. Hold it firmly between your index finger and thumb and make a horizontal slit, and then turn the chestnut 90 degrees and make a second cut forming an X. As you score, the goal is to cut the skin without piercing the flesh as much as possible. Now, if you're using a chestnut knife, the process is even easier. Hold the chestnut between your index finger and thumb and use the curved blade of the chestnut knife to guide your cuts, following the natural curl of the chestnut as you make the X. To me, scoring is the most time-consuming part of this recipe, and like I said earlier, if you're serious about roasting chestnuts, a rather inexpensive investment on a chestnut knife will make the process both safer and easier. Next, we'll transfer the now scored chestnuts into a bowl with water and let them soak for about an hour. Soaking scored chestnut serves two purposes. One, easier peeling. Soaking helps soften the outer shell and the fuzzy inner skin, making it easier to peel the chestnuts after roasting. This is especially helpful if you've ever struggled with stubborn skins that won't budge. Two, even cooking. The moisture from soaking prevents the chestnuts from drying out during the roasting and promotes even cooking, ensuring that the chestnuts are soft and tender on the inside. So it's a small step that makes a big difference in the final result. Moving on, let's talk about roasting chestnuts in the oven. We'll start by preheating the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. While that is heating, we'll drain the chestnuts and place them on a baking sheet on a single layer. We'll then transfer them to the oven and roast for 25 to 30 minutes, keeping a close eye on them and turning a few times if necessary. They should be fully roasted when the skins have pulled back or opened and the flesh inside has softened. Now, I know I said that the roasting time is about 25 to 30 minutes, but I highly recommend keeping a close eye on the chestnuts after the 20-minute mark. In my experiments, some chestnuts were fully open while the others were not, even after the full 30 minutes of roasting. So it is a good idea to remove the ones that are fully open and let the rest bake for a little longer as you see fit. Now let's talk about the most important part, peeling. After they're roasted, we'll remove them from the oven and pile them onto a clean kitchen towel, collect the edges in the middle, and turn that into a small pouch. We'll let them steam in there for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alternatively, if you have it, you can use a paper bag as well. The process is similar. Place the hot roasted chestnuts in the bag, roll to trap the steam inside, and let it sit for 10 minutes. To peel, being careful not to burn ourselves, we'll gently squeeze chestnuts using the kitchen cloth or the paper bag as a shield to help remove the skins. As you do so, you should hear the crackling sound of the roasted skins. Essentially, we're loosening the skins to make it easier to peel them. Then, while they're still hot, we'll remove the outer shell of the chestnut by gently pulling back on the scored X, peeling away the peppery skin and exposing the yellow flesh inside. Now, I'll be honest, some will peel easily, some will break. Some you'll have to discard because they're spoiled inside. That is the nature of roasting and peeling chestnuts. It requires patience, and for most people, that is the fun part. During the peeling process, I recommend keeping a paring knife and a teaspoon nearby. For chestnuts that are more stubborn, you can use the knife to cut into the shell and inner skin, and then use the spoon to scoop out the flesh. It's a little extra effort, but at least this way you make the most of every chestnut. Moving on, let's talk about the fun part, how to roast chestnuts on an open fire. Growing up, it was a winter family tradition for us. I think between the delicious smell of roasting chestnuts, the sound of the crackling fire, and that time of the year, there's something so magical about it. My father used to roast chestnuts on a charcoal grill, but nowadays my husband and I use a fire pit fitted with a grill grate. You can use fireplace as well, but if you decide to go in that direction, you might want to invest in a chestnut roasting pan to make it easier and safer to roast. If you're using a portable fire pit like we do, or a charcoal grill, we'll start by building a small fire using dry wood or charcoal. Once the fire catches, we'll let it burn down until we have minimal flame, which is very important because too high of a flame can scorch the chestnuts without cooking them evenly. We'll then place a grill grate over the fire, set a large cast iron skillet on top, and let it heat for 5 to 10 minutes before adding the chestnuts. I won't be going over the details of scoring and soaking again because it's pretty much the same process. Next, we'll place the chestnuts flat side down in the now hot skillet in a single layer. Depending on the type of chestnuts, they should start opening shortly after they hit the pan. We have to be patient here and wait for them to fully open. This process should take about 10 to 12 minutes, and this is a big but, because the exact time for cooking chestnuts on a fire depends on their age, size, and type. Some may take shorter while others may take longer. It's always a good idea to keep a close eye on them and carefully move them around during the roasting process. As they burst open, you can transfer them onto a platter and have them cool down before peeling them. Now, when roasting chestnuts on an open fire, peeling them is easier. You should not need to create a steamy environment like we did with the oven roasting method. You should be able to easily remove the shells, but if it doesn't work, feel free to follow the steps I shared earlier. Before I let you go, I want to share a few things I learned along the way. 1. Do not skip the scoring. I get it, it's not fun to have to go through every single chestnut and score them one by one. However, if you skip this part, it will likely explode, especially when roasting in the oven. It happened to me, and believe me, it was scary. 2. Peel them while they're still hot. As soon as they're cool enough to handle, start peeling them, or otherwise it will be very hard to remove the fuzzy skin from the flesh after they're cooled down. 3. Get more than you need. If you need a pound of shelled roasted chestnuts, I recommend you purchase a pound and a half. You will likely end up with a pound after you've removed the shells and tossed the ones that have gone bad. 4. Soaking time. As I was testing this recipe, I found some recipes suggesting to soak chestnuts overnight. I tried both ways, a shorter 1 hour soaking soaking and an overnight soaking and found no difference in the end product. I also tried a method where you soak it in a bowl of hot water, but again, the end product was no different. And lastly, a word on easy peeling. If you do a quick Google search on how to easily peel chestnuts, you will see a lot of headlines claiming to share the easiest method that will get you perfectly and easily peeled chestnuts. During the course of 3 weeks in preparation for this video, I have tried several of those easy peeling methods. I learned one thing, and it is that the ease of peeling depends on the type, age, and size of the chestnuts you're using. Yes, the method of cooking is important and you want to make sure they're fully cooked, but be aware that not every chestnut is created equal. As I mentioned earlier, I found much success with Italian chestnuts while Chinese chestnuts were harder to peel. Based on all this, I think the rule of thumb when it comes to peeling is to be patient and keep a paring knife and a teaspoon nearby if it gets hard to peel by hand. And after all, I promise you, even the broken ones taste the same. Now that I have covered everything I know, I hope you feel confident and excited to try roasting chestnuts this season using one of these two methods. I think it's such a fun and rewarding activity, especially if you're doing it with kids. If you're looking for ways to season your roasted chestnuts or inspiration for recipes to put them to good use, we've got a lot of good resources for you. From sweet treats like the classic French Mont Blanc and everyone's favorite candied chestnuts, to savory dishes like chestnut soup and chestnut stuffing, you will find all of those recipes and more on our website foolproofliving.com. The links are all included in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Not peel. Trust me, it's worth to. Next we'll score. Okay, this is broken. Kind of do this move. Season the